that concern is to what are primary businesses and what are secondary businesses. The kind of regulations which have come in, the regulations go far beyond our business perspective as insurance intermediaries, which are going to impact the way we handle our entire automobile setup. And we agree with you, and I think the entire industry, each one of us in this room definitely believes that unreasonable margins is definitely not the way to go forward. And I think that's oft repeated, not just about margins, even about subsidies. There is no business model which will ever succeed which is based only on subsidies. So you rightly said that unreasonable margins will always be frowned upon, and we are with the industry, we are with the regulator when it comes to margins, and that's a concern, but definitely not a concern, because we definitely know that what we lose as margins will definitely be supplemented, because nobody wants a business to collapse, including the government and including the regulator. Absolutely. So we are in safe hands that way. It's more about regulation than margins. But thank you so much for adding that perspective. And I think the next person on our panel is also a lot to do with shared economy. And so when we are talking of Olas and Ubers, we have things like Oyo Rooms, and we have a lot to do with what's happening in the hospitality industry and specifically in the hotel industry. So I think I'll definitely ask Mr. Rahul Pandit, who is the MD CEO of Ginger Hotels, to give a perspective which is happening in the hospitality industry and how it could impact the auto industry. And I think we are similar examples the way forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Sanghi. And thank you very much for having me here. For me, it's actually quite an immersive learning experience. And the fact that this body is thinking so much laterally. I was sitting at the back listening to the case study on Dhaka, what had happened, and the learnings about being synergistic. So I want to only speak of three things here. I think our customers are common. So whatever is going to be impacting our customers, you can't compartmentalize customers. So to me, there are three key trends which are actually impacting us. First is what's happening in the demography in India. And second is what's happening to the new psychographic profile of these customers. And the third, as Anant was alluding to, what's happening on the technology and what impact will it have? And I was listening to Shweta and Anant when both referred to the demographic dividend or the challenge. But to me, and you were saying, what are the learnings from hospitality? My first imbibed learning is that many a times, are we reading the customer right? Like, what is hospitality all about? Yeah. It's actually about fulfilling a very basic need. The business of hotels or hospitality is essentially about sleep. So tomorrow, if somebody was to invent a pill, that you could pop a pill and you need to sleep once in 48 hours. Globally, the hotel business would crash 50%. The other thing about customers, and I'll tell you this very small incident which happened to me, and then the three things I wanted to share. So at our hotels, we were putting dispense soap, dispense shampoo and conditioner in a dispense thing in the shower rooms. And we looked at statistics, different cuts to say where, what should we be focusing on. So we realized we were getting 10% single lady travelers into our hotels. And I was just using the Tata Group demographic cut of employees. And then we realized that we have 30% within the group. So one easy thing is that if within the group 30% are ladies, then hey, in my business, it should be 30%. So I was at Bangalore where we had the highest concentration of single lady travelers, and I was with this group of about 10 or 11 ladies, thinking with them to say, what should we be doing? How should the brand get positioned, product, so on and so forth. So we reached the bathroom. And then there was this dispenser with shampoo and conditioner. So I'm asking them, so one of these ladies turns around, she looks at me, and she says, Mr. Pandit, you are actually not the right candidate who would understand the shampoo and conditioner. But since you have asked, let me share something with you. She said the shampoo is meant to have an exfoliating action and the conditioner is meant to seal it. She said, so when you put both these contrasting properties together, technically you may be all right, but I don't believe you. So when I come to ginger, I actually carry my own amenities. So the learning was after that, hey, put the shampoo and the conditioner separate. So whether our business is about sleep or whether what we're doing right, rationally, is it appealing to the consumer? So in India, the biggest thing, as both Anant and Shweta have said, is the demographic dividend. We are today the youngest economy in the world. The average age of an Indian today is 28 years. So while North America is growing only incrementally, China is receding, Europe is receding, and Japan is negative. So India is actually now becoming, and it will accelerate, will become the economic workforce powerhouse of the world. And then the other issue is that in this, we are going to be releasing 10 million people into our workforce every year, at least for the next 3 decades. So at this pace, this youth getting released is a very big opportunity, and yes, the double-edged sword is if there are not enough jobs. But while this youth is getting released, so this is the new consumer segment which is coming in, and it has much higher disposable income. Currently, if you were to cut the GDP of urban areas separate from rest of India, because this is where most of our services businesses are aiming for, at about 1500 US, the cut of discretionary is about 3%. In the next about 7 years, this is going to become 1800 US. So what's going to happen there is that discretionary is then going to become 7%. So it's a double advantage, or you could say, it's a double blow the way you look at, which means that all items which are discretionary, so whether it is travel, whether it is education, whether it is entertainment, and similarly automobiles are going to go up so fast in the next 7 years, we are going to see a new generation pass through, and then are we ready for that? Separately, a big phenomena has happened. Over the last 1 decade, 90 million people, which is bigger than the population of Germany, have moved from Indian hinterland and rural to urban India. And we are such a big country that such a big phenomena sometimes goes unnoticed. So what is happening in all these urban sectors? So first is obviously that there is great pressure on a social infrastructure. The other thing this is doing, it's making our urban areas even more compact. It's making the family structure much more nuclear, and it is leading to new aspirations. So the biggest aspiration is the aspiration to connect. So in all our industries, whether it is auto, maybe hotels, maybe banking, our consumers want to connect, because we are all getting uprooted when we move to urban areas from what we are used to. So if I speak of my industry, what are we seeing? We are seeing that leisure demand is booming up. We are seeing that pilgrimage is going up. So funnily, we may say that, hey, we are the urban India and we don't believe in religion and faith and so much and so forth. No. It's a reason to go back. And even in cities, people are not finding time to even connect to their spouse. Families are taking a break, and all these breaks earlier, were more seasonal. It's not seasonal any longer. The other thing is, all purchases which are now happening are more to say what my lifestyle is about. This means, on the consumer stack, if aspiration used to be pretty high up on the Maslow, first you did roti, kapda, makan, and then you went there, aspiration is not vertically on top of the Maslow. Aspiration is available at all price points. So the other thing in this aspiration is it needs to get spoken about. This means whatever we are doing, whatever product and service, how will it do on Instagram? Example. The other thing in this is, what we need to realize is, and I'm speaking more from my own experience, is that funnily when we are looking at other human beings, the one big thing is, what is the purpose behind our existence? In any business, if we can find really the purpose, when we find it for our organizations, can we find it for our customers? I think that's a very big driver. I personally realize, that I'm very privileged. And I think all of us in this room are very privileged.
We are.
We are that minority in India which had the fortune of being born in good families, which had access to good education, and all of us can speak English. I am sure in a country of 1.3 billion people, there are 1,000 people who are much smarter than me. So I have to really be thankful. And if we really want to grow our country and be thankful, can we find the purpose to connect to our consumers? Because I know after a couple of decades, at least I know I'm born with an expiry date. I don't know what my expiry is. And one day, when we all go up or go down, depending on our faith, I'm not going to get asked to say, you said, Rahul, you are going to make the most dominant hotel company. Did you do it? What was your ROCE? And your EBITDA margins, how did they look like? That's for here. But if there is a greater purpose to connect beyond, and in that purpose, all of that purpose is actually sitting here. So there is this small thing, which is 50 grams. You take an average consumer. Let's say the average consumer that majority of businesses are going for is 25 to 45 years old in urban India, 70 kilos. There is this stuff which is 50 grams, which is called the amygdala. It's a very small, soft part in the brain. And it has lots of moisture in it. If you squeeze it, it will come down to about 13 grams. This 13 grams of amygdala is all what makes us human, because it stores all impressions which are sensory in nature. It stores the auditory, the visual, the kinesthetic, the gustatory,